What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hustle Bunny. I'm your host, Charrdonnay, aka Coco Madame, and in today's episode, we have a very wonderful guest, and this young lady is breaking every boundary that is expected when it comes to politics. Her name is Alexandra Hunt. She's a public health researcher, an advocate for social, radical, economic, and environmental justice. And she is running for 3rd District of Pennsylvania. What makes her so special is that she's kind of an all around woman. She's worked in customer service from waiting tables to even being a sex worker. And she is also a trauma survivor, but has turned her trauma into something very positive and helping others. Um, so thank you for taking the time, Alexandra. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you. So, Alexandra, kind of tell us what got you into doing politics because you don't come from a political background, do you? Like, none of your family members are.
Not in that sense. I think I I never foresaw myself as a becoming a politician or running for office and becoming involved in politics that way. But for a very long time, and since I was relatively young, I've been politically active. And I think that it's important that we use our vote, we use our voice, we speak up because there's a lot of things wrong in this world. There's a lot of things wrong in this country. And so I have been politically active for as long as I can remember. My twin brother is on the disability spectrum, and he was not always treated fairly. I myself was sexually harassed even in grade school,
Mm-hmm.
and then in college I was a survivor. I had an abortion. I was a stripper. I was a service worker. And so I just kind of learned that if I wanted to see a better future for myself and for everyday people and for our country, we would have to fight for it.
Right. And I love that. I was reading up on you. I came across your page actually. I feel like you had a tweet that went kind of viral over the whole OnlyFans, them wanting to shut people down. And I came across your page and then I started doing research and I just had to reach out to you. But it seems like you have dealt with everything all in one politically, right? So you're having to deal with the healthcare system, the just like the working system, just the working class people, everything from doing service to sex work. And I feel like you're doing it to see better because you've already had to deal with it. And most people, like most politicians, in my personal opinion, I feel like they haven't had to deal with all these different aspects that they are trying to fix, which kind of leads into it not getting fixed. I don't know if that makes sense. So I feel like that really stands out to me because I'm like, wow, like she really knows what she's talking about because she's been through it and she's gone through it, and I think that's really amazing. um, so, being a younger woman and a former sex worker, how do you think that's affected your campaign?
It makes it unbelievably hard. It is hard to be taken seriously as a candidate. It is hard to be given a platform and to get in front of people to speak. It's hard because you're attacked right and left.
Mm-hmm.
It literally politically right and left.
Right.
That no matter how you align politically, whether you're Republican or Democrat, people still really come after sex workers, and people still really come after female candidates.
Yeah, and that must be really hard too, because you're only what? You're only 28, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure like a lot of the people that are running are probably way older um,
Yeah.
than you are. I guess my next question is, how are you breaking stereotypes and like not letting negative connotations of being a young woman running an office get to you?
I think that my way of handling it kind of comes from my background in soccer,
Mm-hmm.
and I love an underdog. I have always kind of gravitated towards those teams. I'm an Eagles fan. I know you said
Yeah.
you were a Steelers fan, but
Yeah.
I do love our birds, and they're a big underdog. And then in this race, I'm the underdog, and so of course we're going to be attacked, but we have something to prove, and that's fueling our run. So whether we get that encouragement from people or we get attacked by people, we got to turn it into energy to keep moving.
Right. Um, and I guess that's definitely like one of those ones where you just have to keep it pushing because I feel like just in life in general, a lot of us do get knocked down just for being women, and I know that's always like the first thing. And then also you're running for the Democratic Party, and I think it's for the Democrats to be a little bit more, I guess, on the liberal side of things. Not necessarily. I know liberals are separate, and you are running for the Democratic Party. Are are the Democrats just as hard on you as the Republicans?
Uh, yes. I would it well, it depends where they are on that spectrum. And I have found supporters within the Democratic Party who are progressive and who agree with align with our platform and think that it's great that I'm being so bold and speaking about my past. We have people in the Democratic Party who can't stand the fact that I'm running, and I think that is pretty undemocratic.
Mm-hmm.
And they have definitely attacked me. They've called me unqualified and dumb. And then the same thing from Republicans that, all I care about is dancing for a dollar and just
Yeah,
kind of throwing slurs around.
really harsh terminology. So on that aspect of being a dancer, I don't know how it is in Pennsylvania or if you were a dancer on the East Coast. I know in Colorado, people tend to they kind of have mixed emotions about dancers, sex workers. Like some people are all oorah, like like let's we're all in for our we all support them, we support our dancers, and then the other side is kind of like we don't want any parts. You guys don't matter. There's no real system for us to be taken care of. So we have to create these platforms. A lot of my coworkers have created like coalitions and different outreach programs for dancers. Um, and what like why do you think that we need to protect our sex workers and their rights? Especially like on the East Coast. I don't like I said, I don't know how it is over there. But I guess like why do we need these policies for people who are like wondering like why should we protect those who are doing this work? Like it's not real work. Um, why do you think that sex workers need these policies to protect them?
Well, I think and I know you mentioned that there seem to be groups who are very accepting of sex workers and gung ho, and I would agree that younger people are generally more accepting of sex work, and because of that, on social media, sex workers have become a little more glamorized,
Right.
and it's not the real experience being actually in the field and doing the work, because there's so much discrimination.
Right.
And that discrimination exists in the workforce. So if you are open about being a sex worker or decide to have it on the side and you want to build a career in corporate America, good
Mm-hmm.
luck, because you are going to be up against a big fight the same way that we are in the political arena. And in that same regard, that discrimination exists in our healthcare. And so you have full service sex workers who don't get the proper care that they need,
Mm-hmm.
and can't and because they can't make it in the workforce, in the corporate workforce, and get those healthcare benefits that's typically tied to employment. It's kind of a vicious cycle that just keeps repeating itself to the
Right.
detriment of the person.
Right. Right. That's very well said. I think like everything all ties into itself, healthcare, discrimination, because you know, like I said, you've dealt with a lot of it, so you probably know more than most people know with having a sibling that does have disabilities. It's like the same thing as, I won't say the same thing, but very similar to being a sex worker. And then they ask you the questions of like, what kind of work do you do? And even if you don't do full service, you're kind of all, we're all kind of grouped together into one. Which is actually kind of disappointing, you know. I mean, yes, we all, it's all work, and it is. I mean, or else work wouldn't be in the name, and it is mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausting. And there's like, there are so many women who are just doing it to pay to get to the next point in their life, and it is an easier schedule to work. Is the work easier? No, but like being able to say, okay, well, I went to school today from like 8 until 4 or 5. I have homework at this time and I have to get all this stuff done, but I can go to work at 10 o'clock. I can go to work at 9 o'clock at night, and not have to worry about, okay, am I going to lose my job? Do I have to work 2 jobs to like keep my education going, or, you know, keep raising my family? Um, so I do think it's very, you know, I think it's very important that, you know, we are seen. And I know you represent a lot of other different groups, whether it's LGBTQ plus and, you know, all these different things. But I just really want to focus today on like the sex worker aspect of it. Cause like you just, when I came across your page, it just really spoke to me, because I feel like there's a lot of young women out there who don't think that they can make the jump that you decided to make, which is actually a very brave jump, especially coming from the background that you have, and then being ready to take all of the criticism, negative and positive. Um, so I guess my next question is, what kind of abuse are sex workers at risk of? I know, like, from coming from your experience of being a dancer, I know it probably wasn't for like a long period of time, because most people aren't. But what kind of abuse are they at risk of?
Well, I think the abuse exists in every corner. There's no guarantee of safety, and one of the first things that I was introduced to was I needed a stage name,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was coming and going from the club, I needed to make sure I wasn't being followed.
Right.
And then on top of that, we added layers. And I worked at a strip club, and we can talk a little bit about uh, full service sex work and the dangers there. Um, but I also had to really trust our bartenders,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to drink on the job,
Right.
and I wanted to maintain my awareness and my wits about me. And so they would give me non-alcoholic cocktails,
Mm-hmm.
and there was just kind of a companionship that was built, but it was built because no one else was going to make sure that we got home safely.
Right.
That it wasn't the customers, and sure, you do develop a relationship with the clients, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't know you. And the club usually doesn't see you as a person. It sees you as a moneymaker, and you're disposable. The country that we live in sees you as disposable, so the
Mm-hmm.
abuse is just rampant. And then for full service sex workers, oftentimes they are kidnapped and
Mm-hmm.
their lives are stolen. And if they're not, they can be put in prison for doing their job.
Right, and I don't think that's fair to anybody, because you know there are some very high dangers. You are risking it all, and yes, you do give yourself. What people love about, what people fall in love with is your persona at work. You know, you put in a different facade, like who you are at work. Like if I'm cinnamon at work, I'm gonna be cinnamon. They're not. They're, Chardonnay doesn't exist in that realm of work. You know, so and I love that you said that there are wits, and like no one else is looking out for us. You are an independent contract. You are working for yourself. You know, you have to pay the space to be there. So you're on your own at that point. Um, and everyone's kind of there for themselves. It's like you think you might have people who are like out there looking back for you, whether it's like management or bartenders or something, and they're not. They're just there to get paid. They're there to get their money, to do the minimum and then go home, right? So what does your policy or campaign hope to do to stop this, like to kind of help those who are getting abused from all different corners, you know, all the kind of underdogs of the world?
Hmm. Yeah. All the underdogs of the world. I like that. I think the first thing is through a framework of harm reduction. And I had this explained to me by a group here in Philly, and they reworked my framing of harm reduction. So it's not the the abuse of a substance on a person, but the abuse of systems upon a person.
Mm-hmm.
So if we focus there and look at sex work through that lens, we want to make sure that every person has healthcare, every person has housing, every person has economic security, and every person has safety. And so that's the first step in harm reduction in sex work, and decriminalizing it so that people aren't ending up in prison for doing their job and for trying to survive. That's a major step. The controversy in sex work exists over legalization, and that's where it gets a little fuzzy, because legalization is not popular with everyone, because no one wants the government to come in and say what you can and can't do with your body. No one wants to be regulated like that. So I think that our campaign is set out to decriminalize sex work and to reduce the harm upon sex workers from our oppressive systems.
Right, nice. Yeah, I feel like that's I feel like you're like saying all the things that everyone's been like wanting to hear, and like everything that people are fighting for, but they just we don't have a voice for someone to do that. I know, you know, because decriminalization of sex work right now is like one of the biggest topics, I feel like, in that realm, which is crazy because we all know that the industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And within my time of dancing, I have danced for some local politicians in Colorado. So you guys cannot pretend like you guys don't enjoy it. Okay, when
Right.
you guys are coming in and, you know, spending your time and money. So, you know, it's always like a boomerang thing. Um, so how does Philly stand with the decriminalization of sex work? I mean, are they, I mean, I guess it's Philadelphia. I don't really know about Philly. Like, are they more on the red or the blue? Or they're somewhere like in between?
Oh no, Philly, and this is why I love Philadelphia. Well, part of why I love Philadelphia, but Philly is the most democratic district in the nation, PA3,
Okay.
where I'm running, and there is a very large progressive movement. I'm not sure if somebody in a purple district or a red district could run being as open about being a former stripper, as I can in
Right.
Philly,
Right.
and be accepted by community members. And I think that for some people there's the initial like, oh, you're gonna run like that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there has been a movement to decriminalize sex work within Philadelphia. The DA has said that he would stop or reduce the prosecution of sex work crimes.
Mm-hmm.
crimes.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that this is a good place to kick off from.
Right. That's amazing. You just like, I'm like, I have like a girl crush now. Like, I'm so just like, you're making me feel super empowered over here. So if you are elected for the third district, what are some of the changes you're looking to make just in general? I know you have a very, your campaign is actually very beautiful. Like I said, with like the sex work, the LGBTQ plus, the environment. What are some of the changes that you are really focused on making? Oh, and also healthcare. Can't forget about that. What are the things that you really want to focus on and make change with?
When people ask me this, I list 5 points, and I go on for quite a while, so I'll try to do it quickly. But
Yeah, no worries.
uh, first and foremost, we have to address the climate emergency. So the Green New Deal is something that shouldn't be an argument. It is past. We are at that emergency. Philadelphia just faced some major flooding. Denver, I know you probably see smog from the fires.
Yes, it
I don't
was a
think we
rough
have any
summer.
fires.
No, we
Hmm.
it was a bad summer. It was very bad with the smog. It was unreal.
Right, and that's going to cause asthma and other side effects that we don't know about yet because we're moving deeper and deeper into that emergency. And then the Midwest had this terrible drought that impacted food supply,
Hmm.
and that's going to cause a crisis at the federal level and then at the global level too. So we need this now. We need to address it now. And the Green New Deal has housing for all because you can't address a climate crisis and leave people exposed out in the open
Right.
to not be safe. An issue that we had in Philadelphia is we had really hot temperatures, the hottest temperatures we've ever seen, and people were not able to pay for their air conditioning, or they didn't have air conditioning, and so they were dying of heat stroke in their house,
Oh, wow.
and that's just unacceptable. And another part of the Green New Deal is a federal jobs guarantee, so we could eliminate unemployment. So that's one. Universal healthcare.
Hmm.
Healthcare is a human right, but also changing the structure of our healthcare system, because I come from a background with clinical trials.
Hmm.
And so in clinical trials, our research is catered to the white man. And we need to expand our research. And with the expansion of our research, we can overturn medical racism. So that's point number two. Number three, education reform. We need to fully fund our public schools and to pay our teachers better. Every person, if they want to pursue college, they should be able to without going into student debt for a lifetime. So cancel student debt. Um, and if they want to pursue a trade school or a tech job, that's just as noble, just as worthy, and they need to be able to have the means to do that. Um, Ending mass incarceration and all pulling apart the prison system and the prison industrial complex, and economic justice, which includes a wealth tax, it includes strong unions, it includes reparations for both slavery and for the drug war, and that's the major things.
Nice. I love everything that you stand for. I feel like you have such a strong foundation, and I feel like your supporters are all rooting for you. The ones who are riding hard for you. I don't live in Philly, but I'm here supporting. So if people do want to support you or get in contact with you, how would they go about it?
Our website is huntforcongress.com, spell everything out, huntforcongress.com. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook with Alexandra Hunt for Congress. And then on Twitter, we are A Hunt, the number 4 Congress.
Awesome. Well, Alexandra, thank you for your time. You were just an amazing young woman. You were very inspirational. I am so glad that you took the time out of your day um, to talk to me and my listeners. And I wish you the best of luck on your campaign. I am rooting for you and I hope that you get elected. I'm not going to say I hope, I know you will. I'm just going to manifest it for you. You're getting elected. You're going to get
Let's
your,
manifest it.
yes, let's
Yes.
manifest it together. Well, Alexandra, thank you so much for being on the show. And we will have to have you back soon. I know you're busy. But yeah, thank you.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. It was great speaking with you. And if I'm ever out in Denver, I'll make sure to let you know that I'm in that area.
Yes, please do. Please do. I'd love to get like coffee with you or something.
Sounds great.
All right, Alexandra, you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.